People, Deluded, I'm back again. Good morning on this fine Monday morning. I know if you support another team, you've got a spring in your step. If you're Arsenal, you're woken up stressed and quite annoyed about the result. It could be worse. You could be like me, you watched the game 3 times, people, you know. Once when I was half asleep, again this morning. So, you know, seen it, accepted it, been frustrated by it. It is what it is, sort of thing, people. In relation to the player ratings in our 0-0 draw against Leeds, I didn't do it yesterday because I felt I felt some of the ratings are the same, but I just felt, let me watch the game again when the result has sunk in, when emotions aren't heightened, when, you know, I'm not focusing on main talking points. And I thought, you know, that provided a proper opportunity to do such. So I'm going to do it like this. Ratings, in relation to the player ratings, Leno gets an 8 for me, probably a 7, but I give him a bonus. You know, can't ask anything more from Leno. His distribution is still shaky, but he made some saves. There isn't anything he could do. He kept a clean sheet against some of the league's highest goal scorers, and we were defending all game, but for 40 minutes when Pepe left us in it, we definitely had a lot to do. And I feel Leno is one of the only players that could say, not that, you know, I believe in this individual thing because we all win or lose together, you know. There's probably about 5 or so man that can say, alright, cool, you man did alright. And I think that's the defence. I think Leno did his thing, so he gets an 8. I think Holding gets a 6. You know, there were some heart-in-mouth moments. There was a time he lost out to Jack Harrison and he got skimmed. But I think Holding did alright. He made a number of important headers. There were some shaky moments, like I said. And I know Holding isn't everyone's cup of tea. It's not mine either. But I don't think he was terrible. And I think he put in a bit of a shift, to put it nicely. So I give him a 6. Gabriel maybe even could get a 7, but I'm also going to give him a 6. Like, played a couple people on onside a bit. Maybe that's the next step in Gabriel's development, to be aware off the ball of what's going on, because we've seen that against Villa to a degree, and we've seen it now. Couple of misplaced passes, but I think, you know, it weren't Gabriel. It's not going to be in Gabriel's Arsenal highlights, but I think Gabriel didn't look out of place. I can't blame him for anything. I think, like I said, the whole defence for me tried to put in a shift. They're the only ones I could say, alright, cool, you know. I give Gabriel a 6. For me, I give Tierney a 7. The mentality was there. You could see the pitch. You knew it weren't an Emirates thing where we can pop it. People need to hold on to the ball longer, drive it up there, you know, show that you want to play. And I think Tierney was on that. One of the only players that looked on job. Obviously, there was a bit of handbags at the end and you love it. It just looks a bit sour when we lose. But Tierney gets a 7 for me, really and truly, man. I was impressed with Tierney. I'm going to give Bellerin a 6. I was going to give him a 5, but I feel he got terrorised defensively. He got terrorised, and Bellerin's never going to be spot on defensively. You know, Pepe weren't helping him too tough, but he got terrorised. That being said, I think not that it was amazing, and, you know, our lack of attacking creativity or intent was highlighted, but Bellerin got forward a couple of times to good effect, and I'm sure he was involved in the Saka one. He could have done better, you know, even in the first half, just by simply making a run beyond his man, where I think Pepe played it to, it could have been Ceballos, and they knocked it to Bellerin, and I think Bellerin gave it back to Ceballos and he banged it over. One of the rare times we put a move together. I could be wrong. Bellerin tried to get forward, and, you know, Bellerin isn't the best right back in the world. I have my frustrations with him as much as I like him, but I think he tried, man. You know, he weren't as terrible as he was against Villa. You know, I don't, like I said, I'd understand if you gave him a 4 based on the sense of he got destroyed and he got terrorised, and he seems to struggle against anyone that can show being an out-and-out winger. But I think if you think Bellerin's the worst player on this field, I think it's a scapegoating thing based on the last game. So I give Bellerin a 6. For me, the defence tried to hold it up. Xhaka gets a 4. Don't see what he brings to the table. Ceballos gets a 4. I mean, he covers ground very well, but beyond that, I'm not seeing it. He's taking too many touches. You know, he's doing good things like beating his man with a drop of the shoulder and whatnot, but then he's not able to find his fullback, or he's kicking it out of play. Can we get the basics spot on? I like the fact that Ceballos covers ground. I like his mentality. I like that he shows for the ball all the time, but, you know, I can see, not that it's a criticism, because many men can't make it at Madrid, but your footballing IQ in relation to being that next level centre mid, I can see why you've been loaned out by Madrid and been on the peripheral things there. You're not mature enough. You haven't matured enough. So he gets a 4, man. You know, he could have grabbed an assist, but again, he elected to shoot. You know, I give Joe Willock a 4 as well, and it's I want to give Joe the benefit of the doubt and dash him a 5, but I feel I have to keep it fair in a 4. It's not that Joe played bad. I think he tried, he put himself around. I just don't think, again, playing in that role is not him. He's got the energy, he's got the box-to-boxness, and he picked out a couple of good passes, but he hasn't quite got that prestige on a pass. He ain't, the ball retention ain't there. He's a bit too raw and scrappy with it. But he did look out of his depth. You know, he did look lost. You know, it didn't look like anyone in the team knew what they was doing. So how can I expect a 21-year-old, when you look over there, you see Switzerland captain, you see someone that's played for Madrid and Spain at the highest level, and they're looking clueless. As a and you look to the left, you're seeing a 32-year-old Premier League winner and Brazilian international in Willian. You know, you look to your right, you're seeing a £72 million player in Pepe. You're seeing, you know, one of the best signings of Emirates era in Aubameyang in front of you, and all of them look clueless. So how can I really get at you? You know, it's sad. You know, in his first start, I would have liked to have given a better account of himself, but I think he just looked out of his depth because the team weren't at it. You know, he just looked out of his depth. So I give him a 4. Willian, to put it nicely, I give Willian a 3. You know, maybe even a 2. You know what, Willian, you get a 2 from me, man. Maybe even a 1, because I don't want to look like I'm scapegoating. I'm always on to Willian, but I don't see what's going on now, man. I hear what Arteta's saying about injury and stuff. Why did you start him? If he was carrying or not. I don't see what Willian brings to the table, people. You know, he's played as a 10. The only time he's looked half decent was the Fulham game, and when he played 10 in the second half against Sheffield United. But he's played false 9, he's played 10, he's played on either flank, you know, and he's not made any of them their own. He's not put in any good performances, and you know, 32 years of age, 3-year deal on big money and performances like this, you know, 11 appearances now, no assists, well, 2 assists and no goals. It's looking costly, you know. I hear what Arteta, I don't understand what Arteta was saying prior when he was bigging up Willian. You know, I understood it. I mean, when he was talking about Pepe and then starting Willian. But and I'm not to say Pepe can hide it, can cover himself with any glory, because he's out the team now. You know, Arteta wanted a reason not to use you, and now you've given it to him. And I think Willian needs to suffer the same fate. I really want to see Reece Nelson lock down a spot. You know, at this point, it's a Saka on the left, Nelson on the right, Aubameyang through the middle. In fact, you know, just to not see Willian, I can't lie, I would move Aubameyang on the left hand side and put either Eddie or Lacazette up front and move Saka to the right. I'm tired of Willian. I'm not trying to scapegoat players. I want him to prove me wrong. I want him to do well. I'm tired of him, man. He's peeing me off. Like he's genuinely making me feel ashamed to support Arsenal, because he's spitting in my face every performance he's putting in. He's literally disrespecting me. Like, he really is. He's taking a piss now. Pardon my language. It's extremely poor. You know what? Forget it, man. I'm giving Willian a 0, man. I'm giving Willian a 0. Aubameyang gets a 3. You had 2 shots, but again, where were you? Lack of creativity. All of these things are valid, but at some point, you have to attribute some blame for Aubameyang's form to himself. You know, if I'm a striker and I haven't scored, I'm not always going to sit there game in and game out and say, well, you didn't create for me. Can you get the ball and drive from deep? Can you force things a bit? You know, so I give him a 3. You know, Willian gets a 0. You know, Pepe gets a minus. You know, what's the? I'm poor at maths. What's the highest minus, or the minus numbers keep going in it? You know, minus 10 or something, man. Whatever. Pepe, you know, prior to the red card, I'd have given you a 5. You know, you was underwhelming. You was hot and cold. I don't feel you helped out Bellerin enough defensively at all. I think you put in a couple of dangerous crosses in the first half, but that was about it. You had that shot. Cross-come shot that hit the post. You had that shot that sailed wide, but there was no more. At that moment, no one else was doing that. Again, like Willian, you spat in the fans' face. You spat in the team. You know, you showed immaturity. I get it. You know, anger is one of those things. I was one of those players on Sunday. I still am. Anything can set me off. But 5 minutes into the second half, what are you doing? You've put your team in it. There's no need. You have the beating of Alioski with a football. Why not give him verbal? Say I'm gonna, you know, have sex with your sister or something. Like, get at him. Why you gotta hit him? You can see Alioski. They look at him with the hair and everything. You can see he's one that's gonna milk it. If that was a Cooper or something, they might have saved Pepe, you know. But Pepe's made the ref's decision and he's given us a harder task. Of course, 40 minutes. 10 men down, a point looks a good point. Pepe, what you've done, you've given, and you see it with Bellerin and Arteta, and it's quite annoying in the press conferences. It's like the shift, not that I'm protecting Pepe, but, you know, the red card, being down to 10 men isn't exactly why we lost this game. Drew this game. It contributed, but we weren't exactly on top of them or looking like a team that was going to win it prior to that. So it's going to take unnecessary headlines and whatnot, people. You know, Pepe and Willian, just get rid of them both now, man. I still want to retain faith in Pepe. I still think he's got something to do this season for us. But, you know, just cut your losses. It's an L. Cut your losses. Bring in the next man now. Give Nelson and Saka the game time. At least they're going to develop card. This season's a write-off already. Like, it's a write-off already, firmly, people. You know, Saka, for what he did off the bench, I know he should have scored and hopefully he's not injured. But just for doing stuff that, you know, he made, you know, Aubameyang had a couple of efforts when Saka came on. It's no coincidence. Tierney looked better in an attacking sense as well. Saka is putting people to shame. I'm going to give Saka an 8 based on what I saw from him, purely because he's a breath of fresh air. I'm going to give Nelson a 6. I feel Nelson, like Saka, an encouraging cameo, showing me stuff that weren't there with previous players on the field. Maitland-Niles weren't on the field long enough. You know, Willian and Pepe, for me, were the poorest on that football field along with Xhaka and Ceballos. But again, collectively, it's a poor performance. Not one player really shined. And if you were to pick them out, for me, it's the defenders or the substitutes, and it's poor. You know, I keep hearing managers say they learn more when it's not going right. I keep hearing players talk, and then you keep doing this same thing. Just stop effing talking and go and do it. The doing's expensive. Talking is cheap. Talking's a currency. Everybody's got talking as a currency. Doing is expensive. That's why, you know, you very rarely see people in life back their chat. We have to hold our L, and like I said, it is what it is. Congratulations to Leeds. Not even congratulations, because Leeds should be seeing it as not a point gain, 2 points. Dropped 24 shots. They killed us. They should have scored, you know, considering we're down to 10 men and they brought on 2 wingers. They should have killed us, but I feel their game plan was spot on, unlike ours. I saw individual players, you know, that wanted to be accountable for their performance. I saw a collective group of boys that wanted to give their fans something positive, that wanted to put their bad run of form together. You know, Bielsa, had he lost this, would have lost 3 consecutive games for the first time in his career. I know it's not much better having a draw and 2 defeats. You know, a win is a win, but they turn it around, and, you know, this could be something that allows them to go and have more positive form. And saving grace is Bamford, who I thought would get a hat-trick today, and he could have, well, in the game. Didn't actually get that, so it is what it is in that regards, man. It is what it is. On that note, though, I'm going to get out of here, man. It's always a pleasure. DG.